with myself, Kabelo Chabalala, and my two amazing, very, very amazing guests who need no introduction. But for the sake of those that might be watching this from afar, somewhere in Kuankua, you never know, Kabeja. My good sir, Greg, introduce yourself.
Gregory Lediga, hi to everyone.
Utwakai.
Oh, no, Atteridgeville. Yeah, this is home. Yeah.
Abut TK.
Sure.
Naniguru musician, but anyway.
I wish.
Musician for another day.
Otherwise, my name is Thabang. Surname is Magodielo. I'm also known as TK for some odd stage reasons.
Stage reasons.
Yeah, man. Been on radio, been on in front of the camera, events and all. Took up the name TK.
Kelantlake kopana le jack of trades who masters.
Yeah.
Most of the things that they run, right?
Very much.
And I think that
Sure.
speaks a lot about Kota and Kote.
Sure.
What is the man? Particularly in the context ya molo go lela mote kale ke le botse ditobitsa ka di tse di makatsang es ke tsamaya even maabane ne ntse ke le botse gore na le tse ding di nthusa ke tamo. But let's start with your personal reflections, Greg, right? What do you think of Onagana ka monna in a place like Atteridgeville?
Yeah, so the question is interesting, Tata, because you start to ask yourself, or did I ever consider this question relating to me?
Sure.
So after obeying this question, Morona, we worked very hard to try and understand what is the man. And I think in the context here, a guy whose life is based on kasi.
Sure.
A man, we look at a man as somebody who is very successful. And you build this picture from Salomunyan because you want role models. And
Success
everything.
BMW,
Yes.
Mercedes.
Yes, everything. O kamonate, o driver, koloi e nice, e longore eternal heads. And this man is successful in terms of family. And we all say, you know, as we grow. And I think that image is takalirona.
Sure.
For Munna is somebody who is family orientated and who's successful, who looks successful, you know, material wise.
Sure.
And family wise.
Sure. TK, not only do I want answer ya hore what is a man, right? But ke nyako tlhalanya hape hore who shaped that picture yone yona le nyone ya hore ho holela mo ka se sona la Atteridgeville monna ke eng?
Bona mopeli, we live in a very classical society. Ho ya ka hore o na le eng?
Yeah.
Yeah. O mmona ntatola ko kae wa tsama ka koloi ela aparang so.
Sure.
Because of ufida family ya ke mone.
Yo.
Ne? And as raw and as sad as it sounds,
Sure.
re hotse re butswa bjang. Hore if wena o re o monna, o na le eng? Sad as it may sound. Ne? O khono etsa eng? O issue ya hore you can differentiate between a man and a woman. Monna ke a provider.
Sure.
And I think that's where they came from without telling us that. Nabasa re you are a provider. But the bona na ba itsena ka re o na le
So does it matter hore collect mangana ke tsere banka tse di rileng di anga di mashela tsa re ke
No.
di aparo tse ke di apereng ke account ya go kae does it count or ke se re se lebeletseng harentsi re le ntebeletse ke fetsa mo strategy?
No, socially it was about what we see. Kama khare. Whether ke skoloto, whether ba wadimile. The fact that ka tshego utlile ka kare sharp o kamlato wa pere. Whether wadimile or not, for us, ne o monna. And you are giving that respect. Even if it's superficial, but you'll be giving that respect.
And one na monna.
Yeah.
Gore la tlile ka mo re leng ka mo teng o nna motsaro otlhe ka gore ke monna.
Sure.
Yes.
And ke nyako dlala mo khanya gore monna wa nna.
Yeah.
And look at wrong. And klenke, as others would say, right? But did you ever feel the pressure, Greg, Yako performer? This weird definition ya masculinity e leng hore bontsi ba lena le tlhale go disiwa ka yona. At what point did it change hore ke a utlwa taba ya tjaro, ke a utlwa taba ya karo, ke a utlwa taba hore ke nna go kae? But there has to be a definition e fetang kgang ya hore ke apereng ke tsamaya kang ke nna go kae. When did that change?
So Mokasi, I think language is very important because a lot of phrases, they're very short, mara di bolela a paragraph.
Sure.
For example, someone can say to you, "Umonna garo wa bere uruku."
Okay.
I twelve on namu, and I'm telling you, but Mokasi they'll explain. Or that now it get by way.
If it late.
It means you're just a man, Gauri.
You're nothing.
All the features that Munamara. Yeah, so I think because of language we all aspire to become munna, one need, and then when munna is based on a classification 18. We want to tick all the boxes. That brings us to why banna play wrong. Sometimes that is one box that I must tick.
Sure.
For majita banna ho kai. So if lenna a kenni ko majiteng ke bona halo ka re nna ke mosadi. Now this might not even come from kamuhai. But it might be coming from the society. For society saka, my local community in soka mosadi because nna a ke phele le majita go ba phelang go teng. So stigma sa teng se botlhoko hampe. Because now I say pressure from Kamuhai is pressure from outside.
Sure.
TK.
Sure.
Re bolela ka go nna go boniwang go teng ene he ke le bone ke le butsitse khaiteng we hore why Kabelo ana le lapa ka pass for I go clicking out on a base and na mateng monate especially borosela ba itshelang chisinyana ne.
Yeah.
Ka 5 foot logo Kabelo o nyaka go basement a tlo reka borose ya 60 rand lem choponyana ya 60 rand hape alokele le steakinyana hape sa 100 rand a le mo benching e la da.
Yeah.
Go hae di pitse di busy di abela kwale msokolo o busy wa tlhakana kwale ba tlhakantse tse ba di tlhakantsha kantining tse ba di epeng kwa e wena di o le ba.
Wait, KayBee a re bole nnete banna re rwele maima
Amafi.
and maima ke tlobolang ka ona a tswa from the traditional words tsa bo monna ke nku o llela ka teng.
Sure.
The whole issue ya hore rena re tla kry counseling ra kry a comfort from other people, men never get that.
Sure.
Now it's sad if mpotsa hore ke expect go high tla go botsa bomme ba and I hampe our wives, our women, that kitchen set up, the kids playing, that's comfort for them.
Sure.
They want to see the soapy, for us it means nothing. There's more to us than just having kids running around. There's more. Our masculinity
Sure.
says, "Twenty ke blome le KayBee." Wait, read Rono, ntse se leng ka mo a rena. Ke tla ke rwele maima ko mmereko. Ke ya ko ntlo. First things first, mosadi la tlo thoma mputsang le hore o patetse school fees sa ngwana. O bona rent ya kgwedi ya hore e eme bjang. So I come from home. I need somewhat sort of a pause. The pleketsa o tshwana le go basement there a pause for me. Ke pause ela ya o relax a lo unwind. A ke tshaba ya ha. No. Mosadi ke ntwa ha wa rata ke na a reng ke batla kitchen unit e ready. Well no, it's fine get it away. Ke batla tile e blue, it's fine get it away. Ladies are open. Why this coordination it doesn't make sense.
Sure.
Rirela mosadi le bana. Where are you? There's no part where a man gets fulfillment in that. Mar what I'm saying is that sometimes I come up against that. Me bro re tlisa fela go gore wait ke nya go no hema ke potle.
Ke tlo bua mo wena ne. Sure. Greg, I don't tell you something. Oya hakai. Ya uti oro baro ira. Marega sibo wena ka manta ha oda. Kala wo be du sentse no sa le boteng. E bile se ba itso o fitla ko na men kan kela.
No KayBee, why o bala? A re bale dilo tse so.
No.
I ba di.
Kenyo ko bala because
re bale.
I need to understand for my maui meti. And I get it mania, right? Maybe I aba we malibeki. That's why you go every day, right? But what I'm trying to understand from you, Greg, ne? We maboba how rule ya how ya go high. The fact that original grocery is that good enough for uchaisite asura bana di nako jata ka tsikinya ka ntse go strateng tsa mafura tse le mo re ha na mthatso mpam PCA abampalli ke dipalla ho ya ka scala tsa mabya. When do you then get to play your role as a gardening thing actually?
Garden compared to basement. I would rather come here.
Right, KayBee. So are thomenyana go morao. So re inheritile as men ba mokasi. Re inheritile culture.
Sure.
You know, and I always say Lokshan culture, not the brand, but as in culture ya mokasi. And one of the attributes that they get this kind of social events.
Sure.
Now, in inheriting this culture ya hore monna o ira eng, re end up re loser value ya why re nyala re tseya bana ba batho re ba tlisa ka mo ntlong wa bona, because nnete ke hore ka mogare ha the popular movement this social movement wa hore monna ke eng ka mogare yona, there's also those few men ba ne ba se part of that.
Sure.
And these men ba buildile malapa anni a ile ngwe ra bone re annile successful. They were not popular, mara ba buildile ba kono build. Now we somehow, if you sacrifice lelapa, you choose this kind of social life, chances are that you are not going to be successful. And this is the reality. Mara, because it's more popular to do things this way, we tend to all fall into this. You are right in your question, Yahore. When you choose this kind of life, when you choose that, family suffer. All right, the responsibility to dira as men, TK this doesn't align with Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, or basement. That is amazing because one on a homework and only that way. Re-inherit the culture already homework. I know of a friend of mine, Onaraha Chaisa. I go PlayStation, FIFA.
Yeah.
Every day. Every day, I chase a fellow Otana go FIFA and Watala FIFA, Oya Haiga 9 every day. Now, 1 hour hola or some more. And we can never say that is right. I don't think set up Yamu basement, for example. Get set up as a man. I think the kind of therapy you get is not constructive. Somewhere. I think there's a constructive way of doing it.
Yeah. But can I differ?
Sure.
And I want to differ by saying the blankets outside the basement are more dining fan. I mean, look, my the blankets are pain.
Sure.
The way Savannah the Brenna Vein.
I give you like a marathon.
Yeah, Baba would buy you Now, now for me, Kerry, recreation is what you make.
Sure.
Is another recreation for society's array. High is a stone throw away. Erike Fetemola cannot port a little beer in a tunya. Why say KayBee Gotolana Daniel way? But number one thing, I'm maybe the first time to Sure. Kids are upon two. Come on, Matang Miracle. Kids are making to a rent. Somewhere I need to offload, man.
Mara every day.
And I get it every day. Oh, one lighting as a human being. Or then only light-headed. Le have a tomahawk or Tadilo. Our Tomo no complain or why did you delete the China? Wait a minute, what are you telling? Ke ba o so fete mo plekeng tse tshwanang le tse. But I can tell you now, I know of fathers, our uncles, by long this recreation. Eba thusitse kang KayBee, maybe if you ask.
Sure.
I see monna o atalalani. O kratalani this guy is angry.
Yeah.
O motso pila o botsa ke. O kwatisa gore a ona ko ileng gore o a phosa wa relaxa. Mo fe biri wena or ejo in order to thunya. O makala monna entle diafro o ntwela blind mar go sharp. Le polelo ya change. Wo utor mar dima wa boa. Mar ha ka ya ka enga ela thanko mmereko. O tsena ka montlune black se mo bethamsa.
Ne.
O roba na balo ba tsa mkholong gore ke di ho tkopo ka teng ila le lenyalo le o ba iretsa favor o tlo utlwa dilo tse dingwe
Tse di weird.
ya mara tsa damane o motso re jo a re ne fatshe re ne 2 years o tlo utlwa le a se dilo tse a ka dintsha mo pela matswale a ka se di botse mosadi ai a ka se di botse ba bo mosadi mara ha kopane le autuko bya le o ko tlo ntsha dilo tse dingwe le o ipotsa gore dimane kanto wa bolela o kra o botsa eme bra wetse ke nyetse ka sekoloto ene mosadi o la ke monyetse ha itse gore ke ntshitse loan ke sa patela le mahadi ya I'm just giving you an example. Yeah. What these settings tend to do sometimes, they tend to provide that counseling,
100%.
that relaxation that you want. And I'm not saying people must be here every day.
But so there's a research I was reading last week. Black fathers in a day, they spend 15 minutes with their children. Arrivale, 15. 15, 30, 45, 60
Okay.
Right? But the problem starts when I'm right? Because if in a day you spend 15 minutes, you can never claim right? Worst of all, whether it actually makes no difference.
Sure.
But then society will then tell you right?
Sure.
Because immediately because that's pretty much how we then define it. Half past 6, or 9-10 if they are under 10. In most cases, Monday to Friday. In total, the 15 minutes maybe I'll copela something or mofasona, I'll nyaga chelata or mahe umureta copela papa, right? But can you go jinx that? Can you go combine my question with the other part? It says Banaba spend 15 minutes in a day, right? Half it's originally 67% of black fathers that are absent. So the 15 minutes comes from the less than 40% that is present, right? And the present one, but is the present, the Asurba present, the Momo Pulungaba. Or Regadia Prosa Christmas, no rotate. Asurba thing, and the Proso Asuru the regular one. Udi regular Renaco strating risk out Bulela slay. So Pila even that at your Regadia Paro or whatever that you're buying, bicycle anyana, all those things actually have to do with you as a father than the child. Because if you ask a lot of children, because I introduce them correct? Sure. So we are sitting at 15%. If that pause, right? The question then becomes, did you start by trying to communicate your issues to your partner go high? And if that was the case, find a resolve the retrenchment, project, all sorts of things that you can count that I believe, if the communication was correct, you should have started there. So what is missing in this whole thing of the absent fathers, the 15 minutes, and the inability to communicate matata?
Wait, on the timers. No kasi ni fa tolo ka ng tata. Koruta mana ka sa ilong tata ka ng tason. If you are asking me today,
sure.
Kore kin na fa tseling go sia. Ready go make time aye tsa taite. Which one? Me what na ilang mama ko hai. Na ilang tata ka mo high as only a provider. Each time ho tshwantse khadi go bitswa tata te. Go bitsang tata. Wa bona lo tso dietsa. So she's the lovable one. Nam the scarecrow. Nake naola wa betha wa seroba wa woman. Bontatare. Babang some of us lelo ase ntatao per se, but ramoholo, whoever that we grew up in. Ne? O hola that time a tsana ka motlong dumelang. Yeah, nyaka dijo. Ne? Unyaka dijo. Ha bolela ke a khala. That's the only time. Now you want to come here today and ask me, I must be the father who does homeworks and be this. Kids, it's a guy that hey, I've never gone through that. How can I do it today? And so it's not something that says we were born into a system that says a father is a scarecrow kitao and the limate on a promote and to hore tatoalina pila hele mona to something no more time. He o tshwantse o bethiwe ngwana tshwantse be ntatate he ngwana tshwantse a khadiwe tshwantse be ntatate wa mate ga sa itse that. So we grew up in this thing le rena rirang re hola ka yona re tse re in this century re hola re lebeletse re nya go imitate we think khodiso ela because e rile bana ke yona khodiso ya nnete e.
Right, so KayBee, I think just back to questioning earlier how are level hore inheritile culture, right?
Which is also what he's saying.
That's exactly what TK is saying, and we agree and we understand what inheritile culture. There are many things that we inherit, but we choose. For this won't work for me. And I think at this day and age we know. For bontata rena le bontate mogolo wa rena ba creatile di monster.
Sure.
Ba creatile basadi ba ileng gore they are very bitter. Basadi ba ileng gore ba na le mathata man. Aba sharp. And we don't want to create, I mean bo mare na le bo kwa rena ne ba se sharp because banna ba bona
ne ba se
right wa bona, and they are directly the product tsabo. Sure. And I think today we know we don't want to create the monster because not the can to mo yetseng ke marata di can ke mo tsere kwa bo ke re ke marata. I don't want to worry di can in neketeka ya gundlu nna ke tsamaye go handle mathata a go strateng a batho ba bang go strateng ke palla ke aka. So firstly I think as a man we are leaders study family. The first thing we must do is to understand what a leader family. And get it invite the different word atlagamo munna. Kinanga started something. Now different kimutisi the onalin. No others started together. I cannot be there. Kimutwele muleva. Because I must be part of everything that happens. It's not easy because we don't have role models. Remember, we don't have how do we do it? But we know how to do it because one of the models somewhere else. So I think the big issue now is 2025.
Yeah.
What kind of a man do you want to be? Let's start there.
Yeah.
Because marriage charity begins at home. What kind of a husband? What kind of a father do you want to be? Because every time when I come across the state, I don't want to be one of these. Again, I get daddy, I don't know you, or daddy, you don't know me. So everything that happens, I want to be able to connect emotionally. So I need to understand, and I think it's possible for us to do. Set up with a groove thing,
sure.
Man, I just want to love a primer. Let me tell you one concerning issue that I have. Banabama 2000, Rababitama 2000, Kibanava Reina, Majita Abelehim Kadi 70s and 80s. Ne? Banava Abanabunta, because Bunta Dawanabagu Gruvasi. And it's a key reality. But Bunta Teba Nababu Gruvasi. That is why Banaba Levia, no Navano. Boku Kwabanaba Palagoba Hudisa, because Ebaba Shia Legas Speed Legas Co. Or Babala's causes in Muku Kwabas understand. So we as fathers, where are we? Whenever number societies are not shorter, the one piece here past the layer shorter, the present fathers, not the present, as you put it.
Sure. So there's also an interesting thing, and the reasons why you basically took us to the journey of why Munas and Nico High, right? But there's this other interesting thing that I've observed, I could call it a 5-year observation, right? For some reason, the time Tamo Penny, Kolia,
sure.
And right time,
Yeah.
why you spend no less than 2 hours? Why is it car wash? Mind you spend 5 hours a day?
Sure.
Am I correct in saying that the one pay barata the colleagues of one of the
No, you're not. you are not. Ne?
Okay.
The colleagues, Lydia Parozzi,
Sure.
the impressive Asadiba,
Baba thing.
Boba Babo.
Marabaketi.
Yeah, I'm getting some.
Okay.
So, something.
And also, let's consider Marokiri. Could whatever kind of worry, Barata, you could tell of the say,
No.
You say Babarata or not?
Babara.
Barata, you could tell of the Banal Basadi.
Barata Basadi.
Who feta Marodu So I get it. This is simple, right?
Marakinyako wants something. Kinyako wants repeat this Basadi bus of life. We bring them into nice things. We know women love beautiful things. Onyakotsamisa mosadi ka go lela lerata ya ditšhila. He o e beile go car wash for 2 hours. Hey tlo ata o itse kae? E lata the hours. I'm telling you.
TK Amanya.
O ra ke tlhatswa koloi for e khatle ma.
TK Amanya. Are go le gomara. And o bongara, right? Go car wash.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
O kono spend that 3 to 4 hours.
Right.
If you are not about lord number, hey, Nelly Gregory got before the thing, right? Or I have this sense of one unzon right?
Yeah.
Because Lerato Lako how look we can some good for some weird reasons, live it alarm said how almost anything irrigate. Almost right? What I'm trying to understand, do we agree with so Sarata?
Well, yeah.
Do we agree with those that are
yes.
So how is it possible that back on the Pilakuri look at the Ufita Basai
Okay, Majida Manjiba Thabang.
KayBee. Oh. Hekele komo. Ke tlhatswa raika. Ne? Heke tlwata. Ke ya ko mosadi. Chances are yona dikara e ke tlhatswang increte ena di fro. Chances are this very car ya 2 hours. Only hang on you like Emma, are you going smart? So I'm keeping that thing. The car incredible 9.
Okay.
It means defraud. Or rather not nice. Let me keep this thing
clean.
Let me keep it clean. Women love clean things.
Sure.
And there's nothing wrong.
100%.
I will not go catch up KayBee. Hekele go more o ever go car washing. Hekele swa tlhatsa da ka. Le tla bona hekela ela Greg KayBee. Ke shapo gents ere nna go bona mama go ntlu.
Sure.
Ko montsha buskonogo ne ba koloi. It's not because I just love the couple.
And let's go with the same narrative, right? Take me through what happens. How does she get to know or koloi can get to school? Arta make on stories house. What happens after people arrive on the school?
So obana Osis va mo pay. Le majida mo pay. Rata dilo tse clean.
Sure.
Ne? Rata ndogos. Ne? And get out of some dogs again when I get motswante. So let me explain that.
Sure.
So Rata no tse clean.
Sure.
Mosadi wa mo pay.
This is the part where I'm not convinced, right?
So you think
no.
But
I want to convince you why right? Our starting point was and you're coming in. So what did you say?
No, but
one good answer.
Okay.
So
yes, I agree.
So how is it that on average, right? But the first priority on a Saturday for a man who pay car wash that's an average of 6 hours. Ne? So why?
But it's part of the recreation as well.
But that recreation means like a month, like a labor, like a frita, already like a starter, or whatever about how do not short. But the answer I need, and this is where you come in, right? If this man is going to dedicate 6 hours forget the vision on but there's this particular 6 hours, right? Ito ya hona ko monate ya tlhakana le khanya or o tlatsa koloi, right?
Sure.
But at what point does this man and I will bolelang wa 9 yo bang excited ha tsena ka koloi, when in that weekend did he dedicate time ya ona lebella le ka mo matho? That's my question, and I want you to come back to answer that.
Right. So KayBee, all these things that di etsang ka ho tlhatswa koloi and diaparo. The question I think e re tshwantse di butsa yona go re irela mang. Re irela dikente ka nnete gore ke a digire.
Sure.
Because he re ka ba honest about it. Re tlo khona ho correcta error if una le error. So for example, if ke tlhatswa koloi ke apara diaparo tse itseng because ke irela nna gore ke impress not only her but impress ba bang, then it's a problem. But if I'm doing all this for her, then it's okay.
100%.
And this is what I'm saying.
So we need to question. We need to ask ourselves this question. Because I know Babang, they are single. They have no interest in hunyala musaidia mnyaka mtu mara wabopela bopelo bo. Now the other issue ke once re nyalana ke re kina go start a family. Recreation ke swantse ira le mosadi. At least 50% of it. Mara the culture ya rena ya molokshene ke hore mosadi ke re mushia go ntlong ke ya majiteng. And re go botsa go majiteng hona le. Go majiteng go mona dang ke rona le majita mang, mara hona le basadi nowadays. Go car wash hona le basadi. Chances are that he ke re ke ya monateng ke ya majiteng a ke fela majiteng. Kilo hona le batho. And then mosadi aka sometimes I decide to ta kwa ke reng ke go majiteng o tlo makala hore kanti wena go majiteng a hao wa hona le basadi. So ke mo party ya gore kanti ene o mushiela why ho monyetse e sa nne cheli ya hao go tsamaile ene o shikelele go ya ngwe le ena go teng. Not all the time, but at least 50%. I think it's fair for us to create the monster. Sure. Because bana ba batho ba re ba shileng go dintlumba ba kwa bana le enga engwe e bruang gore
aska
bo ke re ina ra ira. So now I think the right model ke gore once o nna le ena ka molapeng enga ya hao di issues tsa hao tsa ka montlong di discuss le
pay
di resolve le ena ka montlong so that untlong it's a safe haven for you. O ya kwa he everything e padile wa itse gore ke tshabela hae e seng gore o hae o tshaba o hae o tshabela go majide. It must be the other way around.
Our haven,
Haven, yes. Haven, safe haven, yes. Hey, ya hae me bra ya itse gore go safe ke kwa ke yang ke lo tsholla go teng wa bona, not the other way around. Nga tsabe mosadi ka tshabela go majide.
And coming back to TK now, do you think that picture of success, even money and status, is sustainable in today's day and age?
No, well, truthfully speaking, no.
Yeah.
No.
It's not.
We've seen Brastarena who make money, bar swankela, kadi koloi, kadi aparo.
Explain how Swenka from somebody who doesn't
Yeah.
know.
So ta go paintele picture. Batho ba ba successful ba tsama ba nna go bodi Centurion ba re tloela mo hane ba di Pretoria East ba re tloela ka weekend o tla mo the very car wash ne o tlo ipaka ra o tlhatswa dai car for 6 hours e tlhatswa ka ba fana ba 7 ne a tshwere khonye a ibeile mo and a tshwantse le bone hore ke kara hae and ba fana ba ba itlhatsa kona mo sonko ke bolang ka ona o ile gore ke ra o bona mo pheli batho ba tloga mo and ho rwa lebella batho ba tla mo tshokolo. And you go and check kwa habo. Ho fika kwa habo sentse no ha o khatlisi. Mara ha le ko strate o nya go hatela rena. And we know dilo tse dintse ba di krile bya. Ora bona mo e ke chance it's called dilo tse di ka vaya.
Sure.
Ne? Because we know they easy come easy go.
Sure.
Mara there is so much about class in Atteridgeville. Every second guy you meet KayBee because we're now time o tla go botsa. O tlo ha o botsa Greg ke ma Greg wa BM. Oh no man, re la ka TK o la wa beta di Jewish. Aka siri TK wa it's either even if uto ya go, aka na TK wa doctor. Ne? Or what teacher. There's something about the title in Atteridgeville that is very important. Well, also because Atteridgeville has got the most highest educated people here in South Africa, coming from a town, a black location. Ne? And this is how we've always measured success. But it was a good thing. If you looked at it from the back time, Otwanele, Greg wa, Otwanele, Kabelo wa, you know, and Banaba would acclimatize to them. It's in here, I salin to you. Teacher cannot educate one class because when I let's go strategy, Otama Maserati. as in more I grade 12. My teacher wrote Amaka Yaris. Teacher, how is teacher going to tell the student or Remna? That school override. And my teacher Otsamaka Yaris. So Tiela was strategic. It's a Mazarete. I know grade 12 or run now in school. Yeah. So we live in a skewed society that is so hard to tell our kids what true success means. And in Atteridgeville, it was clouded by status, by positions, by so and sometimes I read to know the right way or the wrong way. We don't know, but sometimes it's a So I'm just saying it's a bit of a mess. Yeah. So we must just find ourselves.
KayBee, I am for family.
Sure.
Ne? And I think Kamara mess in our society. Once they can focus on the units, the smallest unit, family.
Sure.
Once they can master a family, a lot of these things they can say affected her. Firstly, pressure ya hore ke apara eng go strateng and then ke nwa eng go strateng if I get a very solid family structure. And I mean, if my partner, not my partner, our partnership be a sharp, ne, can not pressure go strateng. Mara, I know who once little sharp muntu. Le pressure ile go strateng I met her because chere de ke spend go strateng. Ngebe ke investa ka muntu on something sanne, one. And I feel the family unit. I mean, Mudi Kereken, they will tell you hore. The building blocks are a good society. It's a family. Well, you can, if you don't have good families, chances are that the whole society is going to be messed up. So I feel, Majita Babanyala, you are doing the right thing. Let's do it right. Let's find the right model, your family. Arko Helen, that time as never chaisa every day, I fit us somewhere. And not good thing until now, Otena, Oya, Kukamuri. And then the Jodi Musalamara. That's not the right way. But the Jodi Musalamara Ukamuri. Bana Wamoni, Bana Babylon, TK is right. Bana by the Dimani, Babylon, Dimane, Banamumatade. And that is not a right father. Because a father must be loving and nurturing to one. Not a disciplinarian every time. So I think once Majitaraka got the issue of family right, all these other things, I mean, we are very social. Majita, we are very social. Mara, the social aspect, I just want to overpass my responsibility for family. If I fail for family, I want to fail, I tried to do it right.
At the top of your mind, I'll leave it all as fine. You can quickly say these are the people by whom I look up to.
Yeah.
Quickly.
No. Okay.
You can.
Yeah.
Go first.
Okay. So I never had a father.
Sure.
Don't even know him. Okay. Of course I had one, but I don't know him.
Yeah.
Ratwana,
welcome.
Thank you, my brother. And many of us.
Many of us.
I want to maybe on record thank Ntate Steve Sedikila, who is originally from Beckersport. He's also a businessman there.
Yeah.
And he had his own kids, but he took me in and showed me what it means to be to have a son. And I could play and make mistakes and he treated me like one of his children. So that's the first one. Second one, I was also raised by my brothers, Kili and Tabiso. They were like immediate, and but from them I could see what it means to be a young father. They entered into marriages, they got children, bought their first houses. So to me it was like, oh, I want to be like this guy because this thing was here. But furthermore, there are people by Longkore, I saw them from a distance and I envied, or in a positive way, to say I would want to be similar to them because in my work life is always about the streets.
Sure.
It's about developing communities. And when I was there, I saw good fathers that were there doing great work. Some of them, I can't mention them here out of respect.
Sure.
But there's a lot of them out there that are doing beautiful work in raising children in what we call the right way of doing things. Sure.
Yeah, for my side, my father was very abusive. He was a typical black man. And Nalabanabago High, we were raised like that. And I knew, well, this is not what I want to become. And he died when we were still very young. And I was raised, I'm from the Anglican Church.
Yeah.
And there's so many fathers who became like that light.
Yeah.
You know, to see what can a father be this gentle? You know, can a father be such a person? So I think now I'm not going to mention names, but I belong to an organization, and I saw actually you can be a father, and some of them were actually teaching us
Yes.
you know, those skills. So there are fathers out there who are shining the light. Your family, family you know, and I say big ups to them. And we want to leave that legacy to our boys.
Yeah.
You know, and we say let's continue with that. Sure.
Second last question, Mac.
Sure.
Do you think we are creating enough safe spaces for men? And I'm going to go back to your point, right? Research again comes back to your point, TK. Taverns have never just been taverns, right? Look at thing. Tatola una chase a flop basically now all fortnightly, right? His whole aim, it wasn't because intention high, but high was the reason why his first stop was always the Shebeen or the tavern from the bus stop who could easily access to talk about the issues that go high, to talk about the issues that community, to talk about the issues that medical, right? But are we doing enough to create alternative spaces voice ya ka hekenya go bolela le Greg ka mathata ka ha yo lwana le speaker se le ngore se betha piano ngwe go dimo, even though I'm trying to connect with him ka ntore bolela ka yona because it's valid. Where am I going to find other men? It's where men are. I think the car wash makes a better space because often but are we creating enough spaces for men to sit and buy imundo?
KayBee, there's nothing wrong with alcohol, ne?
100%.
There's everything wrong with the person.
Yeah.
The consumer, if you can't control that thing, it's like in a car. We all drive the safest cars in the world, but when we drive them, we always put on a safety belt.
Yeah.
Even when you drink alcohol, must be what we call a limit.
Sure.
Anything you do overboard has got consequences. I cannot have the most safest thing in the world. Draw line. It's a problem. Here's something that we are missing, or an opportunity, and it's based on culture. Yaruna, as the inheritance are with Negayo. The minute the places out on the basement,
Sure.
We are creating the monsters there and there.
Sure.
Because these places have got licenses. It means government says yes, there must be such a place. The beverage, but to buy cake. What's wrong with teaching our kids that more in the right age, how many men? Of course. So the problem is that we have built these taverns away from our children. I'm not saying build a tavern next to your child. I'm saying we have made these places yeah. If we could, and only if we could, show our kids maybe I get a youth center more. So that no papa shule o not tunya. Here it's more really too. Raya high. arvaye ke nako ya o ya hae or yena a tsena papa ke lata mama o re emetse na dlala snooker a dlala le di-playstation across is a ke re ka mo thaveneng maybe the license must say Basement, as you build the tavern, build the park across.
Sure.
On condition that you build the park across, you get a trading license because it is that tax why does I say directly it was a community area? What am I saying? I'm saying taverns and pubs must build communities because they consume from our people, but they don't bring back to our people. Maybe if we start saying, government, if I were to work condition, Aha Parka, Aha Youth Center, because Arnato, they are quick to build taverns. They are quick to build taverns, but they're not quick to assist our people. Ne? There's a license that says you can't build next to a school. Well and good, we respect that. Ne? But if government can push up that thing, it can push our reading. These broken family systems. Our papa at the crea a le bana ba etsa gore re agile phaka kwa ra ga thavene kwa bana ba le ntato le ngwano ba ka se ba kopane. So to answer your question, no, we're not doing enough.
Okay.
KayBee,
Don't wind it, but
no, I disagree.
Yeah.
Because of legacy, history as South Africans, and how irresponsible we are with alcohol.
Yeah.
I think to protect the innocence of children, we can never have these establishments in close proximity to protect the innocence of man. We don't want children to see what we get up to because we are irresponsible when it comes to drinking, especially our people, maybe even other races, but we are we are responsible. I think answering that question, are we creating enough safe spaces?
For me.
I think we're not. And hota mo papong or go tavening and think because when I live it's a safe space. It's not. Not all men share the same values as you. You cannot just go to banna over wona mola wa fika wa bolela ka hore wena onyaka tape. Not all men they understand who's tape. You must find men who share values and the kind of things you believe in. So why don't you identify someone? Or maybe if we go share matata alelapa. Why somebody who's married, who's been in this institution for many years? Why someone identify and go and see this person? The Kerekedinale is a safe space for Horebanna Bakunubole. I think Kunalidi society is a vanna, Majidako society in Banana chance or Babulele. We just don't want who identify, but to buy the world they have something in common lerona. In a setup like this, and then because this person maybe is not even so I think you cannot confide in anyone, and not all men are like you, so you must find men who share values with you.
As we close, without revealing age. So, TK. TK, if you could speak to the 16-year-old self, what would you say about being a man today?
Don't be scared. Does not end with your problems. And your current circumstances as a 16-year-old, they're not going to last. Ne? And don't listen to naysayers, negativity that I was told that you'll never be anything. You are poor. Don't listen to those people. And you can go far. I would even say to this young person that the potential you have to change the world, you have it even now as a 16-year-old. That's what I'll talk to him and say.
Correct. If you, in particular, were to meet the 22-year-old you, what would you say to him?
I'd say to that 22-year-old, learn. take it serious. Pause hanyane ka minati, because there's time for that. Focus and do what you want to do. If you want to pursue an academic goal, do it. Oskewa not distracted. And focus while you're still young. All these other things will come.
Gentlemen,
Sure.
thank you so much for your time. The point was never to agree on anything,
Yes.
but to make sure that we share our different views. And to anybody who will be watching this, we say thank you for taking the time to actually engage with our content. We are back again next week, Monday, same time, same place, so that we can find those common grounds and continue our conversations. Ralebo.
Sure. Nice one.
I think let's give the audience